Hi everyone, I'm Nick from Negley's Water, and you're watching Negley's YouTube. Be sure to like and subscribe. Negley's has been around since 1979, and we specialize in well drilling, pumps, geothermal, and water treatment. Today, I'm in State College, and we're getting ready to check in with our NIL partner, four-time national wrestling champ, and overall just a good human being, Aaron Brooks. So we're gonna go be chatting with Aaron today about wrestling, faith, and of course, water, as he gets ready just a few weeks out from the Olympic Games in Paris. Let's see if AB is ready for us. Hey man, how you been?
Do I know you from somewhere?
Oh, come on.
Nick.
There he
Nick,
is.
my man. How you been, brother?
Well, Aaron, thanks for having us here today, man. I appreciate you. It's good seeing you as always. Got a couple questions. We're going to talk about wrestling, of course.
Yeah.
Your faith and water, you know, and its relation to Negley's a little bit. But got a couple questions. So you started wrestling at a pretty young age. How old were you?
I was 5.
5.
5 years old.
So I've heard these stories about King Kong having
Yeah.
an influence on your career. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so it was 2005 going into 2006, and the last King Kong movie in that time had just released. So,
Okay.
I just got done a wrestling tournament, actually at North High,
Okay.
through the Police Athletic League program, and my dad was like, we're going to go watch a movie. It was later in the evening, so we went to the theaters and we watched the new King Kong that was out. And I didn't really cry that much as a kid. I was always kind of like trying to be a tough guy, even at 5 years old.
Stoic, if you will.
Yeah, like I was always like, okay, I'm too cool for that. But I remember when King Kong had died in the movie, like my dad looked over and he was like, "Are you crying?"
It hit different, didn't it?
And I was like, yeah, like, cause I love King Kong, the way he went out and was like ripping stuff apart. And my dad saw that I loved him, and he was like, "Man, like, we crying for him." And I was like, "King Kong's the man." So each wrestling match after that, to get me kind of pumped up, he'd say, "This guy killed King Kong," and I'd be like,
then go out
"This
acting
guy
like
killed
King Kong.
man!" Like, what do you mean? Like, so it was kind of just like something that kind of activated me to go wrestle hard.
It's just
So it was just cool.
like a switch. I've heard wrestlers, taps and stuff,
Yeah.
but that was your first mnemonic device there.
Yeah.
I liked it. That's a pretty cool story. So your dad, man, I've been lucky enough to meet him a bunch of times, and he's got a curious brain, but he doesn't have a wrestling background.
Yeah.
He didn't wrestle at all in school, did he?
Yeah, no, he didn't.
But he really has helped to shape your career.
Yeah.
How has he been able to support your chase for greatness?
I just think his drive. Like, I think, because he didn't know wrestling, but I just remember when I first got into it, he did as well. It wasn't like, oh, my son's just wrestling.
So you guys were like learning together.
So we were learning together.
Wow.
And he was, like, YouTube was kind of new.
Sure.
But he was looking up techniques, that's whenever he brought home the DVD of Coach Gale, like in all his matches. And like, he just told us, hey, this is the greatest wrestler ever. And just put it on and we all just watched it. Me, him, and Zay. And like, I just think looking back now, I didn't know what that was, but now I see like that was his drive to also learn the sport and something new. And I think it just transcended to me. Yeah. Because, that was my leader. That was my leader, my role model.
For sure.
So I see his drive, even to this day. He's always working on something and
did he box?
Pushing me. He used to box.
Box and kickbox, right?
Yeah, he did all that stuff.
You guys are just naturally like competitive.
Yeah.
And it's unique because I've got to see him coach.
Yeah.
And man, he just makes me want to run through a wall. Like I always joke and say, well, I gotta go do push-ups in the parking lot now, but he's really good at inspiring. One of the things I remember him saying, he's like, I don't want my boys to be locally good. I want them to be the best in the world. Yeah. And you guys established that pretty early on.
Yeah.
When did you decide I want to be the best in the world?
Yeah, I think I was 6, and this is why
a year into it. That's
amazing. A year into it.
Wow.
But I credit him for taking me serious, because when you're young and you say something, usually it's like, oh, whatever, the kid's just speaking, But I told him, he asked me how good I wanted to be at wrestling, and I think this was after I took third somewhere, and I saw a kid named Dalton Jackson at the time walk by.
Oh, Dalton Jackson! I hope you're listening.
Walked by with this like massive trophy in my bracket, and the next day he asked me how good I wanted to be, and I told him like I want to be the greatest. And he took me serious. Like the next day, we started training in the off season, like running stairs. So I was doing push-ups at night. Just But he wasn't like, oh, okay, like he's just kind of saying that. He held me to it.
Sure,
Like,
accountability.
to this day, yeah,
I mean,
he helped me
he's great for accountability.
Yeah.
Even as a friend.
Yeah.
So, if you could replay one day in your life that's not wrestling related, can't be, what would it be and why?
Definitely a time with family and friends.
Sure.
I think like and I can't think of a specific
you guys
one.
vacation together every summer, right?
Yeah, we try to. This summer, a little different.
A good difference.
Yeah.
A good difference.
Well, we try, but I just think, like especially growing up now and being in school and away from home a little bit,
Sure.
and just family, friends, but even with my teammates, there's times where we're not wrestling. I think those times where I'm kind of sitting there and everything's going on, I'm like, man, like I'm super blessed. Whether it's like us laughing over a meal, so a lot of days like that, I think if I could replay, it'd be one like that where it's just me around people I love and we're just laughing, having a good time,
just
talking about memories.
Just kind of writing your own little journal.
Yeah.
While you're sitting there, I like that. And all right, what's your favorite Bible verse?
I have a lot.
Which one's currently speaking to you the most?
So I think 1 Peter chapter 2 and 21.
Okay.
And it's Peter reminding us that Christ came to suffer and lead that example, and we are too as well. And I think just a lot in life I'm realizing, like the things that, even with the Olympic trials and cutting the weight and going throughout the venture, just brutal. Like suffering for him, having faith that he'll use me, whether it's a win or a loss. But I think when I keep him in my mind when I'm going through suffering like that, you know, he did it for me, I do it for him.
Wow, yeah.
And so I think that one just speaks to me a lot when I'm going to compete, because no one wants to drop 20 pounds within a couple of days and like do it with the water weight and stuff. And so I think just reminding, like, we're no greater than our Lord and Savior, and he suffered, so why wouldn't we in any situation?
That's an amazing perspective.
So
yeah, I mean that's one I'll put in my pocket.
Yeah,
that's for sure. So you've had other options for NIL deals.
Yeah.
Why Negley's early on? What separated us?
Yeah, I think people ask me that a lot, like actually, because they're like, man, you must have all these NIL deals and this and that. And I'm like, no, like I have one NIL deal, and it's Negley's Water, and they ask me kind of why, and I just say the people that you guys are, and it's very rare to work with someone in this day and age that doesn't care about the world's image over Christ, and I'm really grateful that you guys allow me to speak that and speak my truth that I've been shown in that platform, because it's very rare. And I just think even goosebumps now, but like
ditto.
when you work with just certain people nowadays, right, like they don't have that same heart, that same mind, and it's for the kingdom. And I just think like praying on it and seeing that in you guys, and not just in your job but even in the community, I'm like, man, that's those are people I want to work with, those who are doing it for him, and so I just think those purposes aligned. And that's big to me. I don't care if it's an NIL deal with the biggest name, right?
Sure.
Like if they're not aligned with that, with me, I know it's vanity. So I just think
makes sense to me.
That's always my answer to them.
Well, you've probably seen it on our social media. You've probably heard me say it, and other people say it. Yeah, you're a great athlete, but you're a better person. Yeah. That's what won tenfold over with us. And, we're just really proud of you. Really
thank you
proud.
guys.
What does your success, current success, future success, what does it mean to Hagerstown, Maryland?
I think when I go back, I kind of see a little bit of what it means. I think it's like just hope.
Absolutely.
I think one thing, and it's hard to kind of put into words, but I just think from that area, we've had a lot of really talented athletes.
Sure.
That just fell short of where they wanted to be.
Yeah.
And so I just think like, hopefully it's hoping that, when you dedicate your life to the Lord, or even when you just stay focused on the path that your goals are aligned to, right? And you cut those distractions out, like striving for something and knowing how much you want that over the little things and the distractions and the sidetracks, like it can work out for you. I think at least for me coming up, there was a lot of guys who were super talented in football.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
And it's like, man, like just one wrong decision, one wrong way, kind of changed the course. And so I just think seeing someone that is doing it.
Yeah, that hope's a light. I mean,
that's what I think.
Well, I got to agree with you. That's a pretty good answer. All right, let's see here. Your value isn't as a wrestler, but your value is who you are.
Yeah.
Who's Aaron Brooks beyond wrestling?
I try to align my character with a servant of God.
Absolutely.
I think one thing that's been on my mind lately is what you do isn't who you are, but who you are is what you do.
Okay.
So who you are are the actions you do. So if you are love, you forgive. And I think like oftentimes it's easy to think what we do is who we are and get tied up in this world.
Absolutely.
And so I just try to always, in everything, I try to approach it the same because that's your character. So I just think knowing like who I am is what I'm going to do. So if I'm a servant of the Lord, the actions I do are because that's who I am.
Okay.
You know, and so I think that's kind of where I'm at in my life. And that's something like I know I try to tell others, like, build your character, find who you want to be, and then everything you do, you approach it the same.
You're setting a foundation.
You know, yeah, and that's how you callous that. So
I have to say the foundation you're setting, you're building a pretty incredible house on top of it. That's for sure. Wow. How is quality water an essential part of your training and preparation?
Yeah, I think even coming into college, you don't realize how important hydration is. Like simple as that. You know,
sure.
You don't realize how big of an impact it has on your training.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that the times where I've put the right things in my body, including my water, my food, it has a big difference, not just on my wrestling, but even like my mental clarity, you know? And I think as simple as having water that's filtered, and just clean things. Like what you put in is what you get out.
Absolutely.
And so I think that also kind of gives you a little more of a confidence that I'm putting the right things in my body.
Mm-hmm.
I can go hard. Like God's put these things in my life, in my path for a reason.
You got the fuel, let's ride.
Use it,
right?
let's go.
Yeah.
You know, like, so I think you got to take care of this, right?
Well, where you're at,
what God's given you.
it's
And it's
your
1%.
level, everything's so close.
Yeah, it's the 1%. Like, even, like I know some guys in the RTC, like they go see people, but they're turning their bed a certain way, so their head's sleeping
they
to the
level it
north.
out.
Yeah, so like the little things make the biggest difference, and like hydration, nutrition is a huge part of that.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate that. You said about your strength.
Yeah.
So I see these old videos circulating around, and you set a raw bench press record in elementary school. And you'd only been bench pressing for a couple weeks, right?
Yeah.
So how did all that happen? Like,
Yeah, so kind of going back to like when I was 6 and I told my dad how good I wanted to be.
Yeah.
And we started training. So there was a guy named Herschel Walker.
Oh, yeah.
But he never like lifted weights in his
Georgia
life.
product, yeah.
And my dad was like, he just did push-ups, sit-ups, curls. Well, not curls, but
Jump rope,
pull-ups.
right?
Pull-ups. And I was like, all I did in my room.
Sure.
Like I put on headphones. I had time where, me and Zay would hang out on game, but at nighttime I'd go in my room and just knock them out. And so one day my dad, he used to work at the ISS program at South Hagerstown.
Okay.
And his students had known that I wrestled and was pretty strong. So they brought in like this book from the library and like, like this is the world record and the raw Guinness, or I think it's raw powerlifting, but they found it. And my dad was like, Aaron could probably bench that. So we went home and like I benched it and we're like, okay, we'll go break it. But I didn't lift. Leading up to it, I had to get used to a bar.
Well, the stabilization side.
Yeah, so I did that for a couple of weeks just leading up to it. But yeah, it just came from me.
Wow.
Training for wrestling, like it got strong.
Bada bing, bada boom.
Yeah.
That's impressive. That's unique. You're here. You're getting ready for something you've worked for almost 20 years for.
Yeah.
The Olympics. I'm sure you can't put into words like what you're feeling right now.
Yeah.
But what's one word that describes how you're feeling?
Grateful.
Grateful.
Because I think about the nights where I was getting attacked by doubt.
Okay.
Or like I was talking to my girl last night about where I was 5 years ago. Because like memories come up on Snapchat, and I'm like, because I had first come into Penn State in the summer, but like it was like a life or death to me on reaching my goals.
Sure.
Like it was like if I don't reach this, my life will never be the same. And I was thinking like if I could tell me 5 years ago that it's not the world if you do it, and it's not the end of the world if you don't, like that'd be huge. But
at your old house, you got a city water softener and reverse osmosis. What was your favorite part of that system?
just easily being able to go to the sink and fill up my water.
Without doubt.
With the little
right?
slide. Yeah, like my teammates benefit. They still love it. But I remember leaving, I'm like, dude.
Just bring it. Yeah.
Like now I gotta, like if I could pick it up and move it and know how to put it together, I was doing that. But it was just knowing like, not even that, like I remember when you guys came to install it, like even in the shower, like it changed my shower water because sometimes our skin would break out before.
Sure.
But then after that, like no one was getting kind of rashes and it made a big difference.
That 1%.
Yeah, and even like it made a big difference. I didn't realize it was that it would translate to the showers as well. But I was like, man, that's pretty cool.
That's good. I like that. What's the next 10 years look like for you?
God willing, train through 2028. But I want to coach.
Coach?
Or maybe dabble in some MMA.
Oh, dabble. I can't see you dabble.
But that's true. You're either all in or all out.
Yeah, that's not going to be, you're not going to put one toe in the water.
Or jump into that, fully jump in. But I think...
I can see you as a coach.
Definitely coaching like top tier.
I've seen you run some clinics, the kids, you have their attention in the palm of your hand. And, well, obviously you know your stuff, so that's cool.
Yeah, definitely coaching.
Definitely, I like that. I think, well, it's in your blood.
Yeah.
You know, it's there. So, Coach Kale, he usually tells a story before practice, or he does like a Bible story.
Yeah.
What's been your favorite pre-practice story?
There was one time when I came in, this was actually early, like freshman year. I remember this vividly, and honestly, it was around this time. I come in the summer, and he tells a lot of good stories and like parables, kind of speaking. But for some reason, like this one, I liked a lot, and it was simple. But he was saying that the most like miserable people are usually the ones that are offended easily. And for some reason, I'm like, man, that especially in my life then, it's easy for me to take things personal. Even whenever I'm walking out, I'm bearing the truth, and people are, you know, whatever they may say, it's easy to take things personal. But then when you do that, like I find myself in a worse mood, you know, or a bad mood.
So you're a pretty versatile wrestling.
Yeah.
Versatile wrestler. What do you think of the versatilities Negley's being able to offer? Well drilling, pump service, and water treatment, so everybody can have the best water possible.
Yeah, I think versatility is great when it comes to being able to adapt.
Okay.
Because times always change. So if I think of the wrestling style, then I think of Negley's. You always have to adapt and also be able to pertain to a different situation, you know. So you guys might come in and you might not be able to install a well, but you can install something else, right? You still want to help that customer. You still want to, for me, I still want to be able to go out there and wrestle hard. But I think the more in life, you know, you can be versatile, like the more you set yourself up to be able to help others.
Just for fun, we wanted to do like a gag type thing. And I was like, you've beat some of the best in the world.
Yeah.
But you haven't beat me. And I was, because I was saying that one time you gave me a hug, I was like, one of these times I'm going to take you for a ride. You know? And you're like, you can try, Nick. You know. But what's your favorite piece of advice you've ever received?
Got a lot of advice. That's good advice. First thing that comes to mind, it was my grandfather. It was after I graduated high school, and he was telling me, put the Lord first, but also this was huge, but surround yourself with those who are like-minded and also those who will challenge you.
Sure.
And so I think like coming into school, like especially college, you get thrown into a whole different world, a whole different community, like you're away from home.
Yeah. And
I just remember the times where I felt like I was straying or going backwards, I was around those who didn't have not even, because it's not like even always like they're going to agree with everything I do, but they want to get better and reach what they've set out to do.
So I see you tapping your arm.
Yeah.
You and Coach Chris share something that I think nobody else does, right?
Yeah. So this was I think this was a club, and that's the year he passed, but I had to be like 10 or 11, and I remember he had it in like green on his calf, and I was like, Coach, I really like that tattoo. Like, would you let me get it? Like, can I get it? And he was like, if you win 3 state titles, he's like, never mind, you're in Maryland. 4. You know, he's always like joking like that. He's like, you're in Maryland. No, like if you win 4, I'll give it to you. You can get it. And then he passed away before my 4th. So like I won 3. He passed away that summer, going into my senior year, and I just remember I was like, we made that. He told me if I went far, I'll get it. So I got it.
Wow.
In remembrance of him.
Now, what's your favorite wrestling Olympic moment so far?
Honestly, I would say probably Jordan Burroughs winning gold, just because I hadn't really watched that much Olympic wrestling until he came around.
Sure.
Because we watched the NCAA finals every year from like 2008 all the way up until now.
Yeah.
We started watching NCAA wrestling in 2008. But if we remember, like wrestling was kind of dying. Like USA Wrestling was like, no one got a. Well, 2008 we had Henry Cejudo, but no one was really getting medals between 2008 and 2012. And then like Burroughs hits the scene in 2011 and wins a world title, and everyone's like, USA, USA.
He was
so
a
then
breath.
my dad called into it, and he was like, oh, we'll watch freestyle wrestling now. And I just remember just watching him run through the tournament.
Sure.
And that was just cool, because that was like the first memory I have of Olympic wrestling was watching him go beat the Iranian in the finals and stuff.
Yeah.
So I was like, that's pretty cool. And then
you come to college, that 184.
Yeah.
That weight class, I mean, the last 20 years, I mean, it's been impressive. From there, if you had one match you could wrestle, nobody's watching it, but the two people in there, who would you want to wrestle?
84.
Nobody's going to know the winner. Nobody's going to know the loser.
Probably Ed Ruth.
Oh, I'd love to see that. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to wrestle Ed. And it depends. I would want to wrestle his senior year version versus like my junior, the last one.
Oh, okay, because you got a little bigger. Yeah.
So I would do like our last year's at 84.
That'd be a good matchup.
So look at that.
Well, that'd be. He was all arms.
Yeah.
How do you get by that? How do you get your underhook?
And
have to get in there. Just keep it. That was the one thing this year that I noticed. That underhook, man.
Yeah.
You weren't letting go of that guy. No, you found a way to clamp down. But, well, man, I appreciate your time today.
Thank you, Nick.
Man, it's always good talking to you, but today was extra special. Thanks, man. Appreciate you. If you like this video, be sure to like and subscribe so you can keep up with all Aaron Brooks and Negley specific content. Thanks for watching.